Well, great morning, everyone. Oh my goodness. We're off and running still. Had my coffee this morning. Sun in the face this morning. Which our lizard friend Nomad likes that. Happy sun in the face Nomad. Yeah. So he's up there thrilled with the morning sun. But this morning, I wanted to talk about, one of the viewers was asking about a situation where you feel like you're here and you're not here at the same time. And maybe a bit worried about it. Now, nobody else is going to notice when that's taking place, but what it's called is, what I'm thinking you're experiencing is witness state. Now, witness state is when you're there, you're present, you're seeing, you're acting, but you're aware of what's happening and you are in a bit of distance from it. So it's like you're in a bit of higher awareness, higher elevation, watching the physicality going on. Now, I could tell you a couple of things that can happen. You can be sleeping and be aware of your dreams, lucid dreaming, where you're aware of your dreams that it's a dream at the same time. I remember one time it happened, I was snoring and I saw myself snoring. It was a bit of a shock. Or one time when witness state was happening, I was so angry about something, I was screaming about it, you know, going off, and I'm at the same time watching myself going, well, that's really stupid. What is that accomplishing? That is really ignorant. That's really stupid. And you still, in the physical, that action is still going on. I'm still yelling and, you know, bitching about something, and at the same time, elevated, watching it happen, and commenting on it at the same time. So, you know, another thing that's happened is, in Hawaii, I was driving, and my consciousness was above the trees, okay? And I'm looking and I'm seeing these things, and all of a sudden I recognize, wait a minute, there's trees. How can I see above the trees? And then I slam back in the body, okay? Or in India, every time I would walk across the bridge that goes across the Ganges, I would be out of my body, and the body trying to move it was like trying to work a puppet, you know, and you're aware of all this going on at the same time, but there's a feeling of some, I guess you could say some kind of a bit of a disconnection, like you're here and you're not here at the same time. But again, that's called being in a witness state. And it can aid you on your journey because you can watch what the physicality is doing, but you're in a higher elevated awareness looking at this at the same time and being able to comment on it and see where you're at, question it more deeply, what is causing this. You know, why is this being done this way, etc. Okay? I guess I'll talk about another thing. You know, a lot of times, now I said before, when I started my journey, I was in depression and a lot of pain. PTSD, a lot of PTSD things, flashbacks. And I would get all these piercings done. And when they healed up, I would go back into the mental pain. the physical pain was easier to deal with than the mental pain. And I finally saw that for what it was and said, well, that's stupid. You know, it's not solving anything. And at that point, I stopped having that. But I think that's sometimes why people are injuring themselves, because they are dealing with some sort of a mental pain that feels so traumatizing and so difficult to deal with that physical pain is easier. And when it heals up, then all the mental trauma comes back and they will re-injure themselves in some manner to deal with the physical pain. So I just wanted to put that out there. If that's happening in your life, that you're finding that physical trauma is easier to deal with than mental trauma, then see that that physical trauma, you know, it's not solving anything. That you really need, the path is about looking into what is happening and going deep to the roots of it. And once you find the seed, what is causing that, you can dig it up and get rid of it, okay? Then it's gone, and it's gone forever. So again, part of that was having gone through a lot of mental trauma with my family, and a lot of mental abuse. There was some physical abuse, but it was mostly all mental abuse growing up, and then physical, sexual abuse from an uncle. And so dealing with all of those traumas and things, I had to stop and look at it. And once I developed compassion for my uncle that had caused all of this, I saw, and you know, for the mental abuse from my family, my father especially, I saw that they were compelled to do the things they were doing, that this had nothing to do with me, but they were, especially the uncle, was living in a hell realm because he was compelled to do the things he was doing. I had a chance to get out of it, but he was in the hell realm of that mind, okay? And so once I developed compassion for that, then I was able to release it, and that did heal that trauma. And then with the family, I saw that my father was, he just had a dislike, a hatred of women. Did not trust them. My mother was not allowed to have friends. I was not allowed to have friends. We were not allowed to go out. We were not allowed, you know. And, you know, I was told to the point, there was never any kind of a good job or a compliment anywhere. It was always, there was something wrong with it. No matter what you did, it was something wrong. And to the point of being told, why were you born? We never wanted you. The minute I was born, my mother told me, he came into the room and said, next time we'll have a son. You know, so from the moment of birth, it started. And he wound up having a son next time. My brother could do no wrong and I could do no right. It was one of those situations. And every day at the dinner table, he would sit and scream at me. Every day. I was having to take, what do they call it, Dilaudid? I think it's called Dilaudid, Donatol, something like that. Maybe it's Donatol is the name of it. But I was developing ulcers. As a child, I was developing ulcers because of just being screamed at daily. And, you know, if one time we went out and we went to this park and I stepped on one of those big thorns went real far in my foot. And, of course, I was crying because it was painful. He's getting pliers to pull it out. He says, shut up, don't cry or I'll give you something to cry about. That was the that was the situation growing up. Okay, so a lot of mental trauma growing up. But I finally saw and looked at it and saw that he was, now what happened in his family, his mother had sexually abused one of the sons. Okay, she sexually abused one of the sons. And then he got married, and I have a half-sister, and then he came home and found her in bed with another man, and he went off. He was, I guess he was in a mental institution for a while. He had a mental breakdown, and he had this hatred for women. And then his sister more or less raised him. She was an alcoholic, and she was just, you know, out there with any guy. And I guess for some reason, I don't know if I reminded him of his sister in looks or something, or what it was, but I became the target for all of his angst and his drama that he never...
In about 10 miles, turn left onto State Highway 14.
That he never handled in his life. So you can become, and when I looked at it, I saw that all the stuff that he was ranting about have really nothing to do with me. And so when I saw that, I saw this is his mental problem, his mental things that he never was willing to look at, and he was projecting it elsewhere. And so when I finally saw that this was his mental hell realm and his drama, then again, you're able to release it because you find out really it had nothing to do with you. Now, a lot of times, you know, you'll either try, so that sets up this dynamic of either you're trying to prove them wrong, or you just buy into it and just go into depression and well, I'll never be anything, I'll never, you know, you go into real low self-esteem, you go into that drama. So you either buy into it, or you're always trying to prove it wrong. In any case, whichever way that you go, it's not grounded, it's not centered, it's not stilling. So, you know, you have to do the path and really look at these things and see what the seed is that started it. And then once you see that, whether it opens up a compassion or whether it just opens up a higher awareness of understanding that really it had nothing to do with you, it has no reflection on you, then you can release it and you can go forward in your own life in a healthy manner. So I'm going to leave that here today. Hopefully it's helped somebody along the way in their own journey. You know, that's what we come here for, life lessons, for experience, etc. But one thing I can tell you, you have to look at things. You can't run away. Whether it's alcohol, smoking, toking the toke, whatever it is, it's running away and not being willing to look at the situation. Numbing yourself is not going to aid anything. Okay? Yes, it's painful at first to stop and have to really delve deep and look, but you get beyond that pain and then it releases, and there is that feeling of freedom. What is it they say? The truth will set you free, okay? Well, you got to come to the truth of the situation of what's going on. And so that takes being willing to stop and look deeper and question and find the reality of the situation versus what you've been clinging to, and then making oneself ill and through a lot of pain and a lot of trauma that doesn't have to be there, that's running your life, okay? And you can grab the drum and beat it and have the pity party all you want, the poor me saga, and we've all done it. I did it, you know, for some years, the pity party, the poor me saga, why me, why this, how come, oh my God, you know, I'm so abused, baha, boo-hoo, you know, all of that drama. But again, that doesn't solve anything. And you may get some followers for a time. Oh, you poor thing. But eventually they're going to get tired of it. Okay? So if that's what you want to make your identity, you could do that. You can have the identity of the poor me saga. Okay? But if you stop and you look at things and you question it deeply and you get to the root of it, it can change your life, your perspective, and the happenings that you deal with ongoing, okay? So on that note, I'll leave that here. Again, hopefully it's helped somebody in their own journey, and we'll see you online.